oftentimes on this show, we beat up on corporate media. And there's a reason for that. I think they're terrible at their job. I think they are deeply, deeply unserious. They don't put like facts and data and information first and then opinion second, and the opinions are not well thought out. It's just a bunch of conventional wisdom humpers. It's a bunch of elitist insiders who have elitist insider opinions. Well, I've never seen a better example than what I'm about to show you here. So credit to Case Study QB who pulled this clip up. This is the kind of stuff that you're hearing on CNBC on a regular basis. Listen to this.
Should we ban any kind of congressional trading or at least impose a minimum holding period while they're in office?
Yeah, to be clear, there's already a law on the books from 2012 about members of Congress trading on non-public information. So we're talking about public information. And sort of the cold-hearted economist.
Okay, let me just say, the bulk of that law from 2012, the Stock Act, is about transparency, is about disclosure. It's like, okay, if you're going to be corrupt and, play the stock market, you need to let us know what trades you're making. It's sort of the same thing how you have people say, like, let's ban dark money from politics. What do they mean by dark money? They mean, let's have reporting and transparency laws on who's donating to who. Now, look, is that better than nothing? Yes. Is that anywhere near solving the problem? No. It's saying, you're allowed to be corrupt, just give us the specifics of how you're corrupt. I mean, the real answer, of course, if for the dark money thing is not get rid of dark money, it's get rid of money. Get rid of private money. Have clean elections, which is publicly financed elections. Now, for this, what's the answer? Ban them from trading stocks. It's not that difficult. The idea is very simple. Sometimes the simple answer is the correct answer. Sometimes Occam's razor is the way to go. Oh, politicians trading stocks is corrupt and leading to many problems? Well, perhaps we should ban that. Yeah, we should. Anyway, he doesn't think so.
In me says, listen, congressional trades, give the market information. We have a more efficient market. Is that such a bad thing? Now, I will say I would like more.
We have a more efficient market because politicians play the stock market? Okay, the kindest interpretation I could give for what he's saying is like, if I'm watching how Congress people are trading, it's more efficient because I will do those same bets that they did because I know they have insider information and they're going to win. Is that what he's saying? They're like, hey, this sort of helps people out because if they look at how Pelosi's trading, they know they're going to make money, so they do it. It's more efficient. But that's like, then you're allowing like everybody to bet on insider information, which means the game is rigged for everybody. Well, at least everybody who bets in the market, which of course are only the wealthy, right? So what does that mean? What does it mean? Oh, the market's more efficient because they're allowed to do this. What?
More frequent and easier to follow disclosure. Hard to follow disclosure once a year doesn't really seem adequate. But beyond that, I'm not sure this is actually a huge problem, especially if a lot of that is just a few members, as Alon said.
I don't know if it's a big...
We covered the story the other day. There's been a lot of extensive reporting on this, and credit to all the outlets that did it. I know Business Insider did a big piece on this. I think maybe New York Times. Was it New York Times? I don't remember. Definitely at least Business Insider did a big piece on this. We covered the other day on the show. Over a 2 or 3 year period, there were 3,700 sketchy trades. And we know a lot, because of the transparency stuff, we know a lot of the specific things that people did, and very likely based off insider information, almost certainly, or else it's, the biggest coincidence in the world that, oh, would you look at that? They happen to line up perfectly and make money. I mean, we all know the story about how Kelly Loeffler and Purdue and a bunch of others basically sold so much stock right before the market crashed because of COVID, because they had a meeting where it was like, hey guys, X-nay on the market's gay, like get out while you can type stuff. That's just one example. It goes on and on. Pelosi and Paul Pelosi, he always happens to make the right trades at the right times, and it's always based on insider information about like, hey, this anti-monopoly bill for Google is kind of bullshit and it's got no teeth, and so what do? You buy stock, and then as soon as the announcement's made that this really doesn't have any teeth, boom, Google shoots up, you make a lot of money. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Tom Price, who was in the Trump administration, head of Health and Human Services. This is a guy who invested in a company on medical devices and then tried to help them out with either a tax break or a subsidy or whatever it was, and stock price went up. It's super corrupt. Now, look, to be fair to the CNBC host here, he's actually going to push back and just give an elementary level understanding of like, well, here's why this is a problem. But notice how the guy just swats it aside. Watch this.
Problem, Jimmy, it just stinks though, right? I mean, the problem is that the public needs to have faith in Congress. And if they think that somebody's trading options in Facebook or Google or Apple and then writing legislation that may benefit or harm those same companies, how are you supposed to have faith in that legislation?
Well,
that is exactly right. They are not making decisions primarily thinking about their constituents. They are not being representative of the public. They're not doing their job, which at its highest ideal, that's the job. The job is you're a politician, you represent the people. They're not doing that, which is why Congress always has an approval rating between like 6% and 30%. Nobody likes these people. And they don't like them because they're right not to like them. There's nothing to like. They keep serving the donors and the special interests. That's the problem. Now, so there are two problems here. One of them is campaign contributions, which, you know, the politicians are biased as a result of the campaign contributions. They will serve the donors before anybody else, if they get to anybody else at all. And then the other thing is the personal corruption angle, where if they could buy and sell stock, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen is they're going to try to beef up their portfolio and make more money, and they're going to base it off of what they know is going on with legislation. Of course. It's obvious. But listen to douche boy respond.
One, I wish the public understood the ins and outs of trading options. Maybe the CNBC audience does, and Facebook. I'm not sure most Americans know about that.
But they know something is wrong with this insider elitist corruption. You don't need to know the specific, oh, what's a put? What's a call? You don't need to know that they shouldn't be able to trade stocks. Look at this elitism. And of course, he's got literally the Gordon Gekko haircut, the most elitist haircut of all time, the, slick back shit.
Yeah. If Congress wants respect, then do a good job. I think this is really,
this is preventing them from doing a good job. That's the point. In order for them to represent the people, you need to make it systemic that they are incentivized to represent the people. If you have clean elections, if you have public financing of elections, then you free them up to do what the constituents want, so that's how they get elected. If you do it by privately funding elections, well, they're going to represent the private donors. If you let them buy and sell stock, they're going to buy and sell in a way that coincides with what they know they're doing and who they're going to help and who they're going to hurt and who gets a subsidy and who gets a tax cut and who gets, an investigation. It is obvious, man.
Certainly more of a perception issue than it is a corruption issue.
It is both a perception issue, but more importantly, a corruption issue.
So I can understand them wanting to do that. Well, and so for starters, let's try the disclosure route on trades of public information and longer holding periods. I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but I'm not sure I necessarily want them not to be in the market. Hey, I want them to be just like us. We're in the market. I don't mind them in the market and understanding the ups and downs of the markets as well.
Let's try disclosure. We already tried disclosure. That's the Stock Act. Now we just know exactly who's corrupt and how they're corrupt. I want to get rid of the corruption. This is what people are hearing on CNBC. So look, this is how mainstream media works. You take an issue, which is like I don't remember the poll number on like what percentage of the American public supports banning congresspeople from buying and selling stocks, but I'm going to guess it's over 65%, right? It's a huge number. So you take this issue, which is honestly to the American public a duh issue. It's just obvious. But you have mainstream media, corporate media, run interference for the corrupt politicians. That's what they're doing here. So this isn't representative of the majority view. If you were actually a news outlet and you were doing the right thing, you would be the ones going through the specifics of the Business Insider investigation, saying, here's who's the most corrupt, here's who's the second most corrupt, here's how much money they made, here are the trades that they made, here's all the conflicts of interest. Like, that's what a real news outlet would do. But they don't do that. Their whole thing is like, it's okay, let them be corrupt. In fact, it's not even corruption, it's just a perception issue. They are misleading you. Look, you are more informed if you watch none of this stuff. no news at all than if you watch this, because this is actively misleading you. Same thing as if you watch Fox News, CNBC. They're misleading you. Fox Business, they're misleading you. It is propaganda. It's functionally propaganda. You know, when you watch enough of this and they get aggressive enough with it, and they could chip away at that number. You know, they can make it so only 55% of the country says, yeah, ban them from trading stocks. It's really pernicious, man. And look, not to suck myself off, but this is why you need new media, and you need good new media. New media, we have our own problems. Everybody knows about it. Audience capture is a huge issue with new media, and I don't want to downplay that at all. But this is why you need intelligent, effective new media to correct the record and get the right narrative out there, because this stuff is incredibly damaging, incredibly dangerous, incredibly stupid, and I just hope people can see through it. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.